you know, I should say Kerbal Space Program, but I just call it Kerbal. Anyway, anyone who's watching this, we're on the end anyway, right? Alright, so, what we have is a rendezvous contract and plant a flag on the moon. So, we have an experimental vessel here, and since we bought new points, we get this big giant fuel tank with this ultra powerful rocket, same boosters we had before, and this is pretty much a very similar upper setup. We've already launched one of these and put it in air because we have to, like I said, rendezvous, which means to meet up with. And we're going to meet up with the ship we've already launched. The Apollo program did this, and this was their first failure. Well, not their first failure, but a failure. What would they meet up with? Unmanned controlled missile, and then they tried to rendezvous with it, and they made a bunch of mistakes, and then they aborted the mission, and then ran their little science and called it a success, and it was a big botch thing. Anyway, the best botched success mission NASA ever had, and the success part is they screwed it all up and they learned what not to do, and that's important too. After that, I might add, they did it with two-manned vessels, and I'm going by memory. They may have actually had one between this, but I remember when they did it with two-manned vessels, and we're actually filming. They were also coincided that with some spacewalks. I mean, they were going for broke on this one. Guy about died. Anyway, we don't like to talk about the guy that about died because his was his pressure suit? No, that was the Soviet guy. Anyway, his pressure suit didn't allow him any mobility, and I believe we had similar problems too, and because we didn't share our information, we about got both parties killed. Anyway, I'm almost tempted to attach a science junior, but at this stage I'm not gonna. Anyway, interesting thing is the ship we sent up before was our engineer, and now we're sending up our scientist, and we're going to try to rendezvous with two non-pilots. Anyway, I need to check my staging. It's important. Alright, we're good. So, save up. I changed this craft Y1, so we have Y1 engineering going up against Y1. We're going to call this Y1 Bob. And that'll be just for this mission. The rocket will be known as the Y1. So, Y1 Bob's going after Yo Bill. Yo Bill. We'll have to change that at some point. For the mission records, we'll call him Y0 Bill. But we're on the end, so we know it as Yo Bill. Just me and you viewers. Here we are, together again. God, I wish I'm only getting like 13 hits, 10 hits, 2 hits. My videos are too long, that's for sure. Hey, I think we're having a graphic glitch here. I don't know if you can see it, but I've got a fog. And unless this is part of the Dress for Success update, we have unwarranted fog. Alright, so this is pretty close to the ship that we have up there. The one thing is we've got more power on this, and it works out pretty well. So before, we needed a pilot to do SAS control, but what I have is a technological advancement module installed that gives my scientists and engineers, at the cost of electricity, by the way, that latitude that only pilots were given before. Now, realize that we only have one Kerbal station, and we haven't set up a satellite network, so these two are going to lose control when they're not in communication. Well, the control will revert back. You'll have partial automatic control, and it will revert back if we lose communication. Anyway, let's just launch. It's normal. I'm not going to coach this one. I'm just going to do it. You see if you can watch the numbers and figure out what I'm doing. So watch the throttle knob and watch the speed, both vertical and forward. Remember, the vertical speed is how fast we're going up and down. The forward speed would be actually, it's not necessarily forward speed, it's which direction our rocket is pointed. Anyway, let's just go. The rocket is pointed at the same direction as our thrust vector. Okay, our thrust vector right now is being represented by the prograde symbol. That's what you're seeing there. The one that looks kind of like a little airplane, wings and a tail with the circle. Alright, I don't want to do anything. The only thing I'd want to do is maybe straighten it out. But if you straighten it out, you're going to have to bump it too. And I really hate to bump anything. Oh, shoot. So I can get you messed up in the future. Okay, here we go. Solid boosters. And then we're going to take it over. Soon to tip, but let's just try to get it going early and easy. Oh yeah, I said I wasn't going to coach. Alright, I can cheer it on though. I'm really happy so far. Let me get here. This, make sure I'm not shooting the moon. I am. This is probably the one time you see me taking the elevator ride up, and I'm sacrificing speed because I don't want to get in too high of an altitude. You can see the white line. I believe our target altitude is 75,000. We've got our ship up here, our Yo Bill. We're going to set it as target now, and that activates our target screen. I'm closing in on my point, so get this rock and roll going. Alright, this is our intersection marker. It's not like the moon, it's our closest point. And you can see the distance we are. That's as close as we can get right now with where we're at in this stage of the mission. Alright, I've already gone over altitude a little bit. It's alright. Kind of part of the program. And you can see that we can just turn the gas off completely and we don't really lose that much speed. when we're almost to altitude. And if we're close enough to the escape velocity, then we can just punch it, you know, and then we can just wait 31 seconds. This isn't costing us any gas at all. And I do want to check and make sure I'm not out of gas. I'm almost out of gas. So anyway, I'm going to put it here and I'm going to run it out. Alright, let's see what that did. We're right on our apoapsis and we haven't achieved orbit yet at 2250, so let's get back here. That's going to fall back to Earth orbit. So now I'm going for my orbit, and so I want to get to 75. And that puts me on equal footing, almost. It looks like I'm so close. I'm just going to try to line these up right here. So that's a good idea, because that's my apogee and his perigee and mine. You can see we're approximately 300 on one and 3,000 on the other, which means that I'll be moving slower than him at this point. So he's catching me. Anyway, it's not enough to worry about, and it's not enough to really to consider it a gain. But what we do have to worry about is, since we've set him as our target, this is pretty imperative. Have to set up our descending node, that minus sign in front of it. That's going to indicate descending, and what we do not have are the lines on this module node, if that's the right term. So notice as we do this, we may be adjusting our apogee and perigee a little closer. Probably not affecting it much at all if we don't do it before or after, but wait till we get closer to the point. Okay, it looks like we've reached the stage in technology where we can warp, so we can actually use this line. I'm gonna take this time to show you this module. I don't know if you understand that word or if I'm even using it correctly. So here we go. Let's just set this on 0. Never mind anything else for now. Alright. Now another thing I've done, and I don't know why, but this always works out for me when I put these in a special place. I like to line them up with, but we'll just try perpendicular too. That's fine too. I mean, they're 0. So basically what that means is we're running on the same orbital plane. Identical. There's 0 degree variation. And if I back up, you'll see that our lines match. See the little blue line and yellow line matching? Can barely see it. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on YouTube. Okay, now our orbits, this one's a little longer than that one, but what we're gonna do, I wanted to show you this thing, so I'm gonna put that here on our perigee. I'm gonna add a maneuver. Okay, I'm gonna pull this, and what we're doing is this is like planning. And this is computer aided, of course, and we could not have this knowledge or do this with this precision without computer assistance. So what I basically am trying to do, and I can't see the other node, it's covered up in this mess for some reason. I'm trying to line these up. So separation of 10 kilometers at this point. So let me pull it back. 18. All right. Now you get a mess up there, you can't read it, so I'll just come here, come back. We have a long way till we get here to do this maneuver. All right, there they are. I can see them both now. Anyway, the whole idea is to stack those up on top of each other like that. And what that does is that gives us 1 kilometer of separation of 0.08. And that's what we want to do. We get this over with, we rendezvous, and then we can start the coupling. One thing you can really do if you're short on fuel is go half this distance or a quarter this distance or even 1/10, and then it'll just take you a couple rotations. But we're going to try to do this in the first rotation, and the risk factor here that we're taking for you, the viewer, is going to be this relative speed of 289.7. That's going to be our difference in speed. That's enormous. So anyway, let's go ahead and try it. We're going to warp to the next maneuver. That's this. We kind of want to make sure we aren't messing ourselves up. Okay, so what that did is that brought us within a minute of our maneuver. So we have to put it there. And in the middle of this, I may abort it. I always have that option. Pilots always have that option that if something's not going correctly, you can change. Absolutely allowed. You're also allowed if air traffic control gives you a command that your aircraft's not capable of or that you're reluctant to doing, you can decline. So anyway, let's go. So if we really want to, we can go all the way. Alright, this is the point where I would stop if I wanted to. Okay? But I'm not gonna because of that new way that we got into space. We have all kinds of fuel. We probably can get to the moon now. Alright, well, I messed that up, so that's gonna affect me on the tail end. And let me show you what you do from here. You put it back here, and then you cancel the mission and go into real time. And then you can see exactly what really is and not what your node module projection is giving you. Okay? So you kill that. Uh-oh. Okay, it's not letting us do that because we do not have radio control. This is at limitation, so I'm going to try to put it back. Anyway, I have no way to do it except put it back on that yellow line. Okay. So that's what I did. I put the blue back on the yellow. And we're going to hope that this... What I don't want to happen is I don't want our craft to fly past their craft, so we have to... I want to catch them. I don't want them to have to catch us, which means we might have... Anyway, I don't want to have to dip down below orbit. Everything goes slower, and I definitely never want to go below 70 that just, you got too many variables and things just stopping you, drag and everything else. So we're going to put back on the time acceleration, and it's a lot more convenient now because we can just get on this yellow line, blue line. I really wish I could shut that off. We'll have to wait. I guess we may have to do it manually. So here I go with the manual control. And as soon as I'm in contact with Kerbal, I'm going to kill that node so I can see what's going on. And that should happen over here. It'll be too late to do anything about it at that point, but alright, I'm in contact now, so I can turn it off, but stop right here. Alright, this is not too late. Sometimes you can do something from up here. And what is our actual separation? 0.2. Boy, that's better than we projected. So one thing I want to do now is look at our... I'm at 75.3 and he's at 75.0. So what we could do is put it on 75.301. Am I 301 or is he 301? Anyway, let's match that up because we're at the perfect time to do it, and that would be our apogee or apoapsis. Same word. Alright, just a little test. Bump test. Alright, 75.301, 75.059, and now we're apart. We should have left it well enough alone. So we'll just put it back. We're going for 301. Alright, 330 and 301. That's 29 meters apart. At 0.3, we only changed it from 0.2 to 0.3, so that was a good adjustment. Alright, now, remember how I said time acceleration's easier? So we just warp here. And what we're going to see is this, our ship and this ship coming together at a point. Let me see if I can get us out into space and find it. Oh, there it is. Alright, there we are. 22 kilometers apart, and we are hauling booty. I mean, you can't even imagine how fast we're going. We also look like we might be on a collision course. Very precisely. Sometimes you get too precise, going too fast. This is not a good thing always. I am concerned, and the reason I'm concerned is because it is too perfect. You don't want it this perfect. And what's the telling clue as we get closer is that if it's still lined up dead solid center, it's close, but we know it was close when we put it 29 meters apart. So what I'm saying is I already know, but this is a warning sign. And we have to pull off a lot of speed too, so we don't want to wait till the last minute. We just don't. I don't even know. I do it by feel, but I'm thinking we're going to start a little bit now. It's too late. Oh my God, it flew by. So what we're trying to do is get to 0 as fast as possible. We should have started earlier. See, I told you we were going too fast. But anyway, that's alright. We'll learn another thing. 0 as soon as possible. 0, 0, 0. See me chasing 0. Now, okay. I can steer this thing by pushing it like that. Did you see that? Alright. And this one pushes, the other one pulls. And this is some kind of matching procedure. This is, I've just actually started a docking early. Not that we're docking, but That's the same procedure we do when we dock, okay? Alright, so it's getting so good, we might as well just put it on 0. Wonder how far away it is from us. I'm just going to get to 0 first. Alright. So we should be traveling in the same orbit at the same speed, but we're 4 kilometers apart. So this target here is that now we are pointed directly at it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to gas it. Alright. And did you see the thrust vector move into play? So now we're going at 10 meters per second instead of 300. And this is more what we want to do. So I lined that vector up, and hopefully you'll see what I mean about less than perfect. Because the thing is it's good now, but it should change. And you watch that 3.6, 3.5. I guess what I'm saying now is I should have started hammering that thing at about 4 to 2 kilometers to go. Alright, now we can see our vector has moved off, which is a good thing. We don't push this one, we pull it. So you put it away and then pull it towards. Remember the other one we were pushing away from. This one we pull to ourselves. Now 46. That's a lesson learned last time. I don't want to fly by it again. So this one we pushed, that one we pulled. Anyway, this little subtle corrections rather than just doing it. It's kind of going to be pre-docking because the better I do here, the easier it's going to be for me when I get there. So we're crawling under 1 kilometer and now we've dropped into meters. So if you saw me make a minor adjustment, I'm still traveling at a pretty good click. I'm lining my dot up. Down to 16 now. That's our difference in speed. So at this point, we want to get it to 0 quick. Alright, we're 64 meters apart. And are we growing? Yes, we are. At 0.2 meters per second. Okay, so what I do is I bring this back here, and I can actually put this on here and turn it into a 0 if I want. Oh, I've turned it into the opposite. So we put it right about there, the opposite side of my thrust vector, and if you saw me throw that into the general direction there at less than 1 meter per second. And there we go. So I'm not even doing 1 meter per second, and I'm lined up pretty good. I have a lot of electricity left, and it's fine if I have my signal lights going, and he's lit too, so we can see him. Now I'm going to precisely change my vector to the front. This is now it is exactly his docking port. And I'm 17 meters away, and I've been neglecting my duty. And the one thing I don't want to do here that I'm in position of doing is blast him with my thrusters. So I'm just... I don't want to collide with him either, and I'm really close to doing that. So it may be inevitable. So I'm going to make contact. That probably was not the best space procedure. Okay. Alright, this is going to be an easy one now. Look how close we are. We've probably already got credit. So I'm going to spin this up like this. And we'll face the same way. And we'll try to balance this out this way too. Alright. Now what I'm going to do, just give it a little gas. See how I'm moving away from him like that now? That's fast enough for me. And then I'm going to flip this thing around. And at the moment of truth, which I don't know what that is exactly at this point, we're going to just stop the forward momentum and put it on 0. Alright, did you see that disappear so fast? Where is 0? If you can't find it and it's not on the map, then you're already, put it back on the what do we call this? The target vector, the target indicator. And go ahead and you can burn your speed off this way. Alright, we can actually see me closing in now on the actual target. We can come here and go control from here. Now we have our 2 docking ports are basically in a precise maneuvering phase. I don't like that spinning. I'll show you a trick. You just blop the time, the speed a little. And now I'm going to steer towards his, and I don't want to collide with him if I can avoid it. I'm not doing well. I'm traveling towards him and I didn't want to do that. And now I'm afraid I'll hit him. So let's just do this again. Alright, now we're moving away from him. The first thing you can do if you can is stop that momentum. And if you can stop it as that little target moves on you, good, so be it. Alright, I've put it on 0. That's a good place to be. Now I'm going to shoot past him in his direction like this. Alright, now that was way too much. So I got to get over and stop that. And that's quite alright. You gotta do a little bit of this before you get to that. And you can see it moving, so let's start moving towards it. And you can be precise if you want. And I don't recommend hitting it much more than 0.4. Now, at the last minute, we need to get on that vector and, oh, man, we just did some damage. I saw something fly off. Alright, so there's nothing to do at this point except stop the madness. And you do that by stopping your forward speed. And he's spinning again. Right, so let's do something. Let's switch vessels. Alright, and we're going to turn on our flight stability right there. Alright, thank you, Bill. We're here. Alright, so now he's more stable. Let's see if that helps. Because he was like a derelict object in space, where now we have a semblance of control. And we have a little more distance to work with too. Alright, so rather than just go crashing in again, I'm going to spin around while I still have time, and I'm going to put it on 0. And the one thing I don't want to do is blast it with my thrusters. So we're moving at 1/10. And if it works out, I mean, I'll let it. I don't know if dressed, aim, yeah, aim camera. Okay. So I don't know if that's a mod or dressed for success update, but it works for me. And basically, since he's got his control turned on and he's just not some derelict object that I have to catch in space like Salyut 9. Remember, they had to catch that thing while it was in a tumble, just like we created. But this is 2 controlled vessels. It's lining up pretty good. Anyway, I shifted it a little off. I don't know why I did that. Like we're off like by that much. But here's the thing. These docking ports, they're magnetically powered. Electromagnets. And this is so they can join and make a good seal. So if you get them close enough, they actually help you out. They will. And what I'm doing here is I'm guiding the little target, so give the magnets their best chance to work. And you can see them. Alright, there we go. We are now docked. We're essentially one vessel. This one is turned off. I turned it off when I got up here. So our vectoring control needs to be from here. Control from here. Now that allows us basically to take this station with us. I'm going to open this. This gets all 4 solar panels involved. Looks like we took off the antenna, so now they're without communications. Can flower out our air brakes for no reason at all, but it won't hurt us because we're in space. Now, if we could transfer fuel into here, and I don't know if I can transfer it. I may have my cross-feed, obey cross-feed rules. We could actually use both of these crafts, keep them together like this to take us to the moon. all right, and land and plant a flag. We've already got credit for the rendezvous, and this vessel's already set up for landing with the gear. Let's go ahead and check it. Alright, that does clear the engine. Now these air brakes open don't hurt us while we're in space because we have no resistance there for atmosphere. But if we have them open, at least in this case, we can see the lights flashing. And kind of looks cool, I think. Anyway, I have to use the restroom, and I'm going to put on pause here. The mission's going to continue in orbit, but I am going to... No, I'm not. I'll just leave you here. Anyway, I'm going to be gone for a little bit, maybe 30 seconds, a minute. You need to do something, it would be good time too. Alright. So, probably better change everything up if we're going to the moon. I'll need to shut this engine down. And wow, that engine carries fuel. I didn't know that. I don't know if that's enough fuel. So to land, and then is that enough to get us back? So we'd have to use all that to get us there and get us into orbit right there. So we'll activate that engine and we will control from here now. And we're going to call this the Yo Bill. Oh, we have cap locks. It's the Yo Bill. And I may be standing corrected but connected. Doesn't that make us a station? We're now a space station. Woohoo! Anyway, So, control from here. That's what I thought. And the first thing we're going to have to do is get there. We'll set it as a target. Look at our icon. We are now a space station. Now this thing's probably going to fly like a... Oh my goodness, we're coming too fast. I didn't even have it on the right node. So, it'll be the right one for the next pass. So here we are in space. I am going to accelerate to the next one. That's what happened. I warped too close. So we go on the dark side. I think we can handle dark side electrical loss. Put our juice together. And so what we can see here is that we're closing in on the descending node, the minus, and we're minus our extra lines. And I just do it like I did before. Give it a little gas, let it do its own thing. Now we're on 0.01. If we could get on 0, I believe that's a little better. Either way, it's moving. I don't think I pulled the gas off completely. Let me go look. I may have. So as we get closer again, just bump it a little like that. If we're impatient, it's really that warp here is really nice. Alright, so now we're lined up with the moon. And we can also use our maneuver module. Oh, they're not letting us make one because we are not in radio contact. So I'm not sure why pilots would have that advantage, but that's the way they've set it up. What we can do though is put it back on our prograde. And if you get this wrong, then you won't see, like if you have the opposite control, then the controls will be opposite. Like I could control it from the far capsule, but then I would have to put it on retrograde to burn prograde, if that makes sense. Anyway, everything's backwards, but the reason I said control from here is to make everything make sense and the same. So I'm going to close our air brakes. They don't matter, they're just for aesthetics anyway. In order for my solar panels to work, my doors have to be open. And I do have a scientist on board. If mystery goo needs to be collected at any phase, he can collect it. He can EVA, collect data, restore, board back up. Isn't that nice? So we destroyed this antenna. If you want to know what other damage you did, you can push F3, and F3 also freezes time. So if you're about to blow up and there's nothing you can do and you need to see what's going on, you can push F3. I'm also going to pause the video here. Let's see what we destroyed before I go. One problem we have is once we connect, we may lose some data as it combines it. Like, look, it goes from 45 seconds to 481. Yeah, and that was just seconds ago. So we actually lost our data about the accident, the collision, and anyway, I'm going to put the video on pause. You may not even notice, but I have to take a little break, and then I'll come back and we will do our moon approach, orbit the moon, and attempt a landing. If I feel so inclined, I may just make that a separate video. So, putting you on pause. Alright, welcome back. I don't know if I should have stopped my video here or just put a timestamp in the log. I'm inclined to put a timestamp in the log. And just keep going, because it's kind of a continuation thing. So let me think about it. I may change my mind again. Either way, we have to get our node to 0, which it looks like we just did that before our break. And then as we come around here, no radio control. So I wonder if we will. Alright, we've got it now if we want it. So I have to get on my node.